Cold air from the east, models showing potential for significant snow, the beast waiting in the wings. That's what we were looking at for the final week of January, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. Right now, conditions across the country couldn't be more different, and understanding where we are today helps explain why what S coming matters. Across much of England and Wales this morning, it's grey, damp, and rather mild. Low cloud, outbreaks of rain and drizzle, hill fog in places. Temperatures sitting around 10 or 11 Celsius in the south, 5 to 7 degrees further north. Nothing remarkable, just typical January murk that has been hanging around for days. Scotland tells a different story. The Highlands have already seen proper cold. Sub-zero temperatures overnight. That Arctic air mass we'll be discussing is already making its presence felt in the north. Now let's look at why conditions are the way they are and why they were about to change dramatically. We've got low pressure systems trying to push in from the Atlantic. Nothing unusual there, but they're re-meeting resistance. An area of high pressure over Europe is acting like a brick wall, stopping these Atlantic systems from moving through quickly. So instead of the usual conveyor belt of weather fronts sweeping across from west to east, everything is getting held up. Slow moving, stubborn. The Met Office forecast for today shows two distinct bands of rain, one across western Scotland into Northern Ireland, giving some heavier bursts at times, another stretching from northeast Scotland down through northern England into central and southern parts of England and Wales. Rain on and off through the day. Could be heavy in one or two spots. In between these bands, there are some brighter spells. Central and northern Scotland seeing the best of any sunshine today. Perhaps a few glimmers across western fringes of England and Wales, and possibly East Anglia down into Kent. Tonight, these bands of cloud and rain push north and eastward, still showery in nature, hill fog clearing a little during the early hours. Some drier weather moving into Northern Ireland, Wales and the West Country ahead of the next weather system arriving Tuesday. Tuesday brings a fairly cloudy start with some bright spells. The remnants of this weekend S systems finally move out into the North Sea. Most places become dry and bright for a time. However, the next area of low pressure brings rain and stronger winds to Northern Ireland, Western Wales and parts of Cornwall by afternoon. Gales around the coast. Breezy elsewhere but dry with sunny spells. Temperatures reaching 10 or 11 degrees in the southeast, generally 7 or 8 elsewhere. So far, so typical for January. Unsettled, mild, Atlantic dominated. But here's where it gets interesting. The models are showing a significant pattern change developing from around the 24th or 25th of January, and this is where we need to look at the data carefully. The key to understanding what S coming is, that high pressure building towards Scandinavia. Currently, it is sitting over Europe, blocking the Atlantic systems. But the models show it strengthening and repositioning to the north and northeast of the UK. When that happens, the whole game changes. Instead of mild southwesterly winds bringing Atlantic air, we get the wind backing through southeast to east. And easterly winds in late January mean one thing, cold air from the continent. Let's look at what the models are showing. The ICON model, the German model, shows low pressure systems sliding southwards on a northwest to southeast alignment as they run into that Scandinavian blocking. By around the 23rd to 25th, the wind backs from southeasterly to easterly. Northern Britain seeing some wintry conditions first, then the cold filtering southwards. The GFS model has been particularly aggressive with this cold scenario. It shows high pressure establishing to the north and northwest of the UK, low pressure sliding southwards through France. By the 27th, it's showing the minus 10 Celsius line at 850 hectopascals hovering over the country. That's bitterly cold air at altitude, and it translates to very cold conditions at the surface. Based on this GFS run, we could see wintry showers packing into the central belt of Scotland, northeastern areas, and potentially parts of the Midlands and northeast England. Exposed coasts along the east and southeast would see showers coming in off the North Sea. When weather fronts interact with that cold air mass, there's potential for more widespread snow. And this wouldn't be marginal snow. When the air is that cold throughout the atmosphere, what falls tends to stay as snow. The Canadian model tells a similar story. Blocking building to the north, low pressure sliding through France, winds turning easterly, temperatures dropping significantly by the 26th or 27th. The minus 10 line sitting just off the coast, waiting. The UK Met Office model is also now showing low pressure sliding southwards through France, with winds turning easterly, at least for Scotland initially, then the cold air filtering south through subsequent days. So we have cross-model agreement on the general pattern. High pressure to the north, low pressure sliding south. Easterly flow developing, cold air arriving. The question is how cold, how long, and how much snow. Let's be clear about the uncertainty here. At this range, 6 or 7 days out, the models are showing the broad pattern, but the details are still evolving. The exact position of the high pressure matters enormously. 100 miles difference in where that high sits changes everything about how cold we get and where the snow falls. The ensemble data shows a spread of outcomes. The operational GFS run is on the cold side of the distribution. Some ensemble members are less dramatic. But the important point is that the majority of runs are now showing at least some period of colder easterly weather around that 25th to 29th window. For those who remember the beast from the east in February 2018, this pattern has similarities. High pressure over Scandinavia, easterly flow bringing Siberian air, interaction with moisture producing significant snow. Now, I am not saying this will be exactly like that. The beast from the east was an exceptional event, but the ingredients are there for a notable cold spell. Looking at the background signals, the Arctic Oscillation and North Atlantic Oscillation are both negative, which favors blocking patterns to the north. That is supportive of this cold scenario developing. So what should you be thinking about? If you are in Scotland, you are likely to see the cold arrive first and experience it most intensely. The Highlands and Northeast could see significant accumulations from snow showers in an easterly flow. Even lower ground in the central belt could see notable snow if those showers come far enough inland. For northern England, the Pennines and exposed eastern areas are most at risk. In a proper easterly flow, those North Sea showers can penetrate a fair distance inland. West of the Pennines tends to be sheltered. The Midlands and East Anglia have been rather quiet this winter. If this cold spell develops as the models suggest, you could finally see some proper winter weather. East Anglia in particular, exposed to that easterly flow, could see snow showers coming in off the North Sea. The south and southeast are typically on the margins in these situations. It depends on exactly where weather fronts interact with the cold air. If we get a low tracking across the south while cold air is in place, there is potential for significant snow. But that a specific scenario that needs to come together just right. Wales and the southwest tend to be sheltered from easterlies by the landmass. But if cold air becomes established across the whole country, nowhere is immune. In terms of preparation, the time to think about this is now, not when it's happening. Check your heating system is working properly. Make sure you've got supplies in. If you take regular medication, ensure you have enough to last through a period when getting out might be difficult. Think about elderly neighbours or relatives who might need checking on. If you drive, consider whether your tyres are in good condition. Keep some supplies in the car, a blanket, torch, phone charger, perhaps some food and water. If you get stuck in snow, you want to be able to keep warm while you wait for help. For those with outdoor animals, think about how you'll keep them fed and watered if conditions become difficult. None of this is panic. It's just sensible preparation for weather that many areas haven't seen for a few years. Those who've lived through proper winters know the drill. For younger folk who might not have experienced a real cold snap, it's worth taking seriously. The Met Office will issue warnings as the situation becomes clearer. Keep an eye on official forecasts as we get closer. The models will continue to evolve over the coming days, and the details will sharpen. Through the rest of this week, it is more of the same. Low pressure dominating, further spells of rain pushing through, perhaps some snow over the higher ground of Scotland by the end of the week as the pattern begins to transition. But for most, it remains mild with temperatures coming from the south. The window to watch is from around Friday into the weekend and beyond. That S when the pattern change should become established if the models have it right. I'll be watching the model runs closely over the coming days. The exact timing and intensity of the cold spell still has room to change, but the signal for something significant happening in the final week of January is becoming harder to ignore. For now, deal with the weather we've got. Grey, damp, mild. Make use of the milder temperatures while they last, because if the models verify, we could be talking about a very different situation by this time next week. Stay warm, stay safe, and I'll see you with an update as the situation